From announcing a peace deal to calling for the jailing of elected officials, President Donald Trump has intensified his confrontations with Democratic leaders amid his nationwide immigration crackdown. On Wednesday, the president, on his Truth Social post, demanded that Chicago's Mayor Brandon Johnson and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker be jailed for allegedly failing to protect federal immigration officers conducting raids throughout the state. The heightened tensions come as 500 National Guards from Texas arrived in Illinois to support U.S. immigration and customs enforcement operations. Their deployment follows similar actions in Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., and other cities as the Trump administration aims to enforce mass deportations and combat what it calls rising crime. Local officials, however, argue that state and city law enforcement are fully capable of handling protests as well as security.
Let me be clear. Donald Trump is using our service members as political props and as pawns in his illegal effort to militarize our nation's cities. I refuse to let Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, and Gregory Bovino continue on this march toward autocracy. They think they can fool us all into thinking that the way to get out of this crisis that they created is to give them free rein. Well, that plan will only work if we let it.
Protesters took to the streets of Chicago on Wednesday, marching against the deployment of National Guard troops, all the while holding banners demanding no Trump, no troops.
Overruling the will of the state and the locality to federalize National Guards from other states to invade a state, like, that is an act of civil war. I mean, that, from the regime side, is an act of civil war. That should be clear.
Meanwhile, legal battles are already underway as the city and state have filed lawsuits challenging the National Guard deployment, with a court hearing scheduled for today. A federal judge in Oregon recently blocked a similar troop deployment in Portland, citing false emergency claims and reaffirming that the U.S. is a nation of constitutional law, not martial law.
I think we all know that we're in an incredibly dangerous place in America right now. And today's ruling is an important wake-up call for the United States president. No president is allowed to make up facts or rely on social media trolling or posts when deploying the United States military in our cities. It's an incredibly dangerous precedent to set in America, and today's ruling halts what appears to be the president's attempt to normalize the United States military in our cities.
And as the courts attempt to try to rein this president in, he's now threatening to invoke the rarely used Insurrection Act to deploy military forces nationwide if courts or local officials impede federal enforcement. So as the legal and political battles escalate, Chicago and Illinois remain tense, with court rulings pending and President Trump hinting at broader actions. This standoff will redefine the limits of federal power in American cities and the consequences for those who in fact resist. And the nation now waits to see whether this unprecedented escalation will remain a standoff or spark a broader confrontation with consequences far beyond Chicago.
Want the facts?
The latest developments?
News that gets straight to the point.
Well, we've got all three just for you. This is Firstpost Live, a brand new show, your window into what really matters.
Don't miss it.